Bread boys, I have some proof that says that Pyrocynical actually got away with grooming. I am also going to talk about in this video why I actually hate Pyrocynical's guts, and then at the end of the video I'll talk about some W's that Pyrocynical's response video had towards the whole grooming situation with the Google Doc, but I still think that some of his points have some holes in it, and also I just overall want to talk about it on this channel because I haven't before, and it's just been eating away at me. The fact that he can have a relationship with a minor when he was a complete fucking adult, and this happened on 3 separate occasions, or at least 3 different allegations. And yes, I know this video is beating a fucking dead horse, sue me. Now let's talk about the situation that Pyro actually made a response video about. It was the Ivory situation, and at the time Ivory was 15 when they started talking, and the whole relationship was kind of a clusterfuck in a way, because what they did was just some furry roleplay supposedly, and Pyro says that he didn't know that they were only 15 or 14 at the time, while Pyro was 18 and 19 at the time. And no, it wasn't just normal roleplay, it was like sexual roleplay. It was more of a fantasy, something that weirdos would jerk off to. Like, this is an adult and a minor engaging in a fantasy roleplay. But like he says, he had actually no idea that they were only 15. Or at least that's what he says.
My accuser, Ivory, one of the people that I've had these conversations with, was 15. That is 3 to 4 years younger than I was. It was entirely my responsibility to verify his age before having these conversations. And the fact that I didn't, that is so incredibly negligent of me to do so.
Like I said, I would give him props wherever I could, and this is a W. He takes responsibility for this, but he still fucked around with a minor. Whether you know it or not, you're still gonna get jailed if you do stuff with a minor. Like, for example, with people who try to catch predators with just text messages towards a minor. Like, for example, Skeeter. Like, wouldn't you say that is somewhat incriminating? And even Pyro himself in this response video says that he continues to do this roleplay, even knowing the age of the accuser.
In retrospect, I never should have continued the furry stuff with him once I learnt of his age. Even though at the time, I didn't see it as a problem.
Yes, I see no issue with a full-grown adult doing fantasy sexual furry roleplay with a minor that is 3 to 4 years younger than you. Like, you're an adult, they're a child. Do you just not get that, Pyro? Yes, I know that the age of consent where Ivory and Pyro live is 16, but don't you find it kind of weird that an 18 and 19-year-old is looking for a 16-year-old to do furry roleplay with that may or may not be degen sexual shit?
Didn't consider the age gap significant enough because what we were talking about and doing was so far removed from actual sex. It literally was just fantasy furry garbage because I didn't consider Ivory sexual in any way in person.
Okay, another W for Pyro because he says in person, because he's only done fantasy stuff with Ivory online. Whenever they actually interact in real life, nothing really happens. Like, for example, when Pyro invited Ivory to go to an event in the UK, where Ivory even said that they did nothing sexual.
Himself even said he did not get any sexual tones from this.
When he invited you, was there any kind of indication that it was sort of a date in any way? That there would be a wink-wink, date-like act with sexual interaction? Did he give you that idea at all?
He didn't, like, if he was.
But also, there's a pretty big L in this clip. As you know, you remember him saying this.
What we were talking about and doing was so far removed from actual sex. It literally was just fantasy furry garbage because I didn't consider Ivory sexual in any way.
He says in any way, which doesn't make any sense to me because he obviously got off in some way, because he also states in his response video that he gets off to this kind of stuff.
He's provided a lot of proof like this to show how much of a degenerate I was, and I mean, I agree, you know. You got me. Now, the whole world pretty much knows what I jerk off to, but...
Okay, so let's process this together. So he starts talking about the evidence, which is just, furry roleplay with somebody else. And he says, oh no, you found proof of me being a degenerate. I already knew this. Now everybody knows what I jerk off to. Now, can you see where I'm going with this? He could have possibly done the same thing with Ivory, while possibly knowing his age. So, jerking off to a minor that you know is a minor kind of shows that you like kids in some way. Sure, maybe not a groomer or pedophile, because you didn't actually do anything or manipulate them in some way. But like, come on. Yeah, but of course, you did not find any of the furry roleplay you did with this specific case to be sexually satisfying. And of course, this could have just been a joke and I'm blowing it out of proportion, but you can kind of see Pyrocynical shooting himself in the fucking ass during some of the parts of the video.
It's just purely like a weird fantasy and it does not carry over into the real world whatsoever.
Oh yeah, screwing around with minors is totally fine online, but like, doing it in real life, I just don't fuck with that. Like, that's the same line of logic he's using here.
There needs to be a middle ground. I did fuck up. There is no excuse, and I am sorry for that. But I am not a groomer or a predator.
I don't think you're a groomer because you didn't manipulate them in any way, but I do think you're a little bit of a pedophile. Like, sure, you didn't act on anything, that doesn't mean you don't like kids. Yes, there is supposed to be a middle ground. You did fuck up. You screwed around with a 15 to 16 year old with or without knowing their fucking age. Like, hello, that's still fucking incriminating. You're still screwing around with a minor. But I do have a little bit more proof that actually says that he is a little bit of a groomer. It's paper thin, and I got it from Gio's video. It has to do with a third controversy with Pyro. That has to do with a French girl that was 15 at the time, and he was waiting until they were 16 years old to do something with. Of course, once again, this isn't really evidence. This could be fake, because if this is true, then we got a pedophile that also tries to groom people. And if this isn't really grooming, it's kind of creepy the fact that he's waiting for a young kid to turn a certain age. It's like when Little Baby turned 18 and then instantly made an OnlyFans. Like, isn't that a little bit creepy that a fuck ton of middle-aged men fucking subscribe to that shit? It's kind of like the same vibe. Like, I'll wait for you, baby, until you're the age of consent. Like, that's a little bit fucked. Anyway, bread boys, I think that's where I'm gonna end it. I hope you enjoyed. Congratulations, you made it to the end of the video. Here's a cookie. You don't have to like or subscribe, but you made it to the end, so you obviously like my content, so you might as well. And as always, bread boys, stay hydrated.